And we're back. We're going to get in a game of Sega Clue. So again, anybody that is kind of new to the Sega Clue, these clues are going to be given a little bit differently than what we're used to. You can watch the tracking sheet on the right side of the page, right above my face. That's going to give you a lot of the details about how those sorts of things play out. The clues are given in a little bit of a different format. As always, if you're in the chat, please feel free to suggest guesses, and I will be happy to make them if they make sense, and maybe, heck, I might even be happy to make them if they don't make sense. But we're going to go ahead and get into the game. So we're going to play with 6 players on detective level. We're going to play as Professor Plum, and then everybody else is going to be a computer. So our cards are lead pipe, kitchen, and library. And mark these off. Lead pipe is eliminated. Kitchen is eliminated. Is eliminated. And then go ahead and get in and start the game. First turn of this game is almost always rolling because, unlike some of the newer versions of the game, it still uses the more traditional roll of single dice. So that makes for a little bit of a slower start. And we have our first guess of the game. Mrs. Peacock was not in the lounge, so that goes on the bottom part of our clue sheet over here. We go to the lounge and scratch off Peacock. Oh, now we've been guessed, so we're going to be slid to the ballroom. Plum did not have the wrench, so across from Plum on the top sheet, we're going to off wrench. Mrs. White did not have the wrench, so we can mark off white wrench there, bottom of the page also. Okay, we're in the ballroom. There's really nothing special to do this early in the game. We don't really have a lot of anything that we've closed in on. Ballroom's an open room for us. So we're just going to say mustard with the knife. Again, just kind of blind guessing at the early part of the game here. The knife was not in the ballroom. Because this version of the game, the way it presents on Super Nintendo and presents the same way on Sega, which is the version we're playing. It's just a matter of information. You want to gather as much information as possible. So when we really start wandering around at the end of the game from room to room, we have a lot of things about the characters and their relationships to weapons already eliminated. So we can eliminate the rooms more quickly. Green did not have the rope. So that's an elimination up there. Or not an elimination, but a deduction. White's turn. She goes to the conservatory. Green with the lead pipe. The lead pipe was not in the conservatory. Peacock candlestick. Conservatory. Candlestick was not in the conservatory. It's 2 weapons on our list. 4 to go. Peacock's turn. He's going to make a guess there. Say me. I would never. Is this going to be us? Plum did not have a knife. That off on the top portion of the screen. Continue working on making those eliminations. So we can roll, we can lounge, or we can conservatory. We're going to stay in the conservatory. We're doing some more narrowing there. And we're going to say Scarlet with the rope. The rope was not in the conservatory. Okay. Well, that ends our turn. It goes back to Scarlet. We drug her to the conservatory. She decides to go back. Yes, herself also. So Scarlet lead pipe lounge. It's a clue for the top portion. It's going to be that Scarlet did not have the pipe. Scarlet ends her turn. Colonel Mustard rolls. Make the conservatory and does. Okay. Mustard, revolver, conservatory. Mustard was not conservatory. So a lot of eliminations starting to stack up here in the conservatory. We don't have enough clues on the top portion of the board really to make too much use of those, but there's definitely some limitation and some pressure on the possibilities now for the conservatory, as we have 4 items now removed of the possible 12, so about a third down. Green was not in the lounge. We're going to go to the lounge, and we're going to say mustard. Mustard with mustard, it doesn't matter with what. We're going to say rope. No rope in the lounge. Okay. Charlotte goes to the dining room. It's going to say Mr. Green with the lead pipe. Let's see. Green was not in the dining room. Our first clue involving the dining room. Pulls Mr. Green in there. Mustard is going to stay in the lounge. Suggestion. Accuse us with the revolver. Which is an open possibility. Plum was not in the lounge. I am now. So we've got mustard, scarlet, and white is the potential in the lounge. But we're left with no cards to help us eliminate those people at all. So puts us in kind of a weird position. Not a lot going on there as far as how all that goes. Okay, and there's a Mrs. White does not have the lead pipe. We're not really focusing on a lead pipe. We'd rather it be a negative eliminator than a positive eliminator. And what I mean by that is a positive eliminator is something that eliminates because of its truth. So if we found out Professor Plum had the lead pipe, Plum would be eliminated because of the positive. I prefer with weapons by and large for them to be negative eliminators. I want to find out nothing about them and instead just focus on all the other weapons and pretend the lead pipe isn't even here. Mrs. White was not in the dining room. So now White is eliminated there. 2 down. 2 down, 4 to go as far as characters are concerned in the... We're going to go to the conservatory because of the blocked door. I'm going to say green with the knife. Green was not in the conservatory. Colonel Mustard takes the secret passage, goes to the conservatory. What is he going to say? Scarlet with the wrench. The wrench was in. Mark that off on our list. Scarlet was not in the dining room. Scarlet off of that list. Down to 3 people now in the dining room. Down to Mustard, Peacock, or Plum. So about halfway there. In terms of dining room, we've got a lot of weapons open there, so there's some work to go do on that side. But if it keeps wanting to give us people clues, we'll just eliminate all the people and move on. Professor Plum did not have the... So now we've got Professor Plum under some pressure here. The only possibilities left for Professor Plum is we have Candlestick, and then we have Rope, because Lead Pipe is out because of our card. So there's only 2 weapons left that Professor Plum could have committed murder. The wrench was not enough. Okay, so the wrench is not in the lounge. That leaves 4 weapons, 3 people. Our turn, we're going to go to the lounge. You're going to guess. Guess white with the revolver. The revolver was not. Oops, that's an incorrect marking. Revolver. Pipe. So now we're down to 3 logical, 2, but only 2 weapons that matter in the lounge. Because we have the lead pipe eliminated because of our card. Mustard knife dining room. Mustard did not have the knife. Okay. So we've got that eliminated. Mustard's turn now, and he makes a guess in the dining room of himself with the gun. Revolver. He did not have it. So Mustard doesn't have the revolver. Doesn't still do much. Doesn't still do. Just means that if he was the killer in the lounge, he could have only used the candlestick. But I'm not convinced it's going to be an earth-shattering deduction there. Scarlet was not in the lounge, so that's another elimination there. So we're now down to just Colonel Mustard and Mrs. White in the lounge. This is about the point where I kind of start liking to move on to another room. Because we've got enough that once we discover more about the relationships they have with weapons, that we can make some serious deducing on Mustard or White, or maybe even completely eliminate them. Professor Plum did not have the pipe. Wish the computers would start asking so many questions about the lead pipe, because I would like them to be secret. But here we are. Okay, we're in the dining room. We're going to guess there. So we've got Mustard, Peacock, or Plum left in there. We're going to ask about Peacock. Peacock did not have the knife. Okay. So Scarlet's turn now. She's going to make a guess in the lounge. Yeah, if the computers would like to narrow the lounge down more, be my guest. I'm out. I do still have some... the conservatory's still pretty open, but the lounge is tight now. So I don't have much interest in being there. White was not with the candlestick. Okay. Colonel Mustard, candlestick. candlestick. So let's look at this again. Lounge is left with Mustard, who could use the knife only, and is eliminated from having the knife. He can have the lead pipe, but we don't care, because that is a negative clue for us. White could have the knife or the lead pipe. She's eliminated from having the lead pipe because of the top, could still have the knife. So if the murder was committed in the lounge, it was with the knife. As we find out that Peacock was not in the dining room. So the suspect category now fairly limited in the dining room. Not many clues about weapons there, but actually no clues about weapons there. But Mustard and Plum are the last killers available. First guess in the ballroom this game. Oh, nope. Excuse me, we've eliminated the knife. And now we've eliminated the wrench from there. Yeah, we're going to go for the ball. The lounge is pretty tight at this point, so we kind of want to stay away from there. There's more to find out. We'll let the computers do it. We're headed for the ballroom and then probably the kitchen from there. So we can go back and forth between kitchen and study like we did between lounge and conservatory in the early portion of this game. Peacock did not have the rope. Not a huge deduction there, but again, any little bit starts to tighten the screws the way this game works. So white knife in the conservatory. The knife was not in the conservatory. So that means if the murder was committed in the conservatory, it must have been the revolver, which means we were not the killers in the conservatory. It leaves Peacock, Scarlet, and White still available, though. Lead pipe, not in the ballroom. So we're in the ballroom now. We have a pretty wide open area of options. We don't have any characters eliminated. Don't want to really get into us. The knife and the lead pipe are not. I'm going to say white revolver. Okay. Makes another elimination to our top board there. See what's next. Our turn. So Scarlet's turn now. Colonel Mustard. So that limits Mustard to only having the candlestick and the wrench. Does that have any play? Mustard is not the murderer in the lounge. Plum was not in the dining room. So Mustard is the last person left, possibly in the dining room. Knife, revolver, rope, eliminated as weapons. So if Mustard killed somebody, he whacked them. Okay, the revolver was not in there. Okay, so we're down to just rope and candlestick now in the ballroom. So we're getting to that point where we have enough information now that we're starting to put pressure on rooms and limiting their possibilities. Green moves to the ballroom, guesses Mrs. White. The rope. Okay. Feeling, well, yeah. So now Mrs. White is down to just one weapon. Mrs. White could have only used the knife. We're in the dining room. We're down to one person in the dining room. We really don't want to guess here. At a 6, so we head towards the hall. And then we proceed to get dragged to the ballroom. That's fine. Lead pipe was not in the lounge. Not a big clue for us there. But it leaves knife as the only possibility left there now, not just logically. So you want to guess White with the knife elsewhere. Because if we find out she does not have the knife, have eliminated the lounge. And the dining room is down to Mustard. The rope was not in the ballroom. Okay. So that leaves candlestick as the only weapon left that can be in the ballroom. So really have things narrowed down as far as that goes. Boy, do we want to be the ones? Yeah, we're going to go ahead and try to make this elimination here. We're going to go. Peacock. The candlestick. Peacock. It's not in. Okay, so now we've made our guess in the ballroom. We're done with our turn. But the decision now is, do we want to kind of stick around this area? And the answer is no, definitively. Based on my kind of strategy and playing here. because the problem that we would run ourselves into if we tried to continue to make guesses in that general area is we have a lot of things that are down to like 1 or 2 options, and we run the risk of getting a positive clue and not being able to do anything about it. So the lead pipe's eliminated from the dining room. Lead pipe now down to 5 rooms. We have, oh, excuse me, 6 rooms. Nope, 5. So it's left for billiard, hall, library, kitchen, or study. I would love to find out Mrs. White had the knife. So White was not. Green's turn. It's a suggestion. Mustard. Candlestick. The candlestick was not in the ballroom. So the candlestick's now eliminated, as is ballroom. So we have 3 rooms down, 6 to go. 1 weapon down, and but the people are wide open at this point. Again, a difficult sort of card setup here, because I would say in the normal board game I like having rooms, but in this game I prefer to have the people and weapons because their presence, places, or negative presence can serve as a positive or negative indication for some different approaches. Green, candlestick, ballroom. Green was not in the ballroom. So at this point, if we find out somebody's in the ballroom, it's just kind of a fun little way of eliminating somebody. We're not going to put any effort into that ourselves. But if one of their computer foes were to find out Mustard, Scarlet, or White there, that would be a helpful eliminator. Green did not have them. So there's now a fair bit of pressure on the knife, fair bit of pressure on the rope as weapons with only 2 people who could still possibly have. So, Peacock, Lead Pipe, Library. We would like the lead pipe to not be in the library. We already know it's not in the ballroom. We would like it to also not be in the kitchen, solely because we could use an additional eliminate. Getting only 3 lives is difficult. The knife was not in the library. Knife there. We would like to get a positive clue about the. Our turn, we're going to roll. We're headed for the kitchen. As slowly as possible, we're headed for the kitchen. Nice if we could, bust a move, but that doesn't seem to be the way that it's going to go. Mrs. White, the revolver. The revolver was not in the conservatory. So now the conservatory is eliminated. So they're starting to fall now. So we're down to just over half rooms left, 5 of 9. There is our first positive clue of the game. Mrs. White was in the lounge. So we're going to eliminate her from every other room. And by virtue of that, that leaves, oh, and Mustard also eliminated now from the lounge. So Mrs. White with the knife in the lounge is still an open possibility. We are getting pulled into the billiard room, suggesting we had the candlestick. Candlestick was not in the So we've got Scarlet Rope Billiard Room now. Scarlet did not have the rope. So Peacock is the only person left who could have committed murder with the rope. My turn. Billiard room. I want to eliminate lead pipe. I want to hope that one of these three has it. Because of our eliminated room, only 2 of them we have eliminated as lead pipe possible. Finding out the lead pipe was somewhere. Or, yeah, revolver, not in the billiard. Like lead pipe to be in one of our non-eliminated rooms. So billiard room, dining room, hall, lounge, study. The way you like it to read. Okay, Professor Plum was not in the billiard. White's turn, she rolls from the lounge. Doesn't make a room. Inside the dining room. Oh no. We are unable to move here. So we had to forfeit a turn. It's unfortunate. Scarlet's gonna have Scarlet and Mustard. We're all gonna lose a turn. Because Peacock and Green are blocking both the doors. Mustard, no. I said Mustard may have been pulled in. Okay. So that's interesting. So there's 3 lost turns. White is going to make the dining room. I assume that's headed. Pulls Mustard into there with the candlestick. Mustard was in the dining room. So mustard being there means the knife is not over the rope. Interesting. Can't jump to any big conclusions yet, but it continues to put pressure on places. And we find out that Peacock did not have the lead pipe. So Mr. Green is the only one left that could have the lead pipe. We'd like him to, because we would like to make an elimination for a change. Peacock suggests Scarlet, wrench, billiard room. This would be useful for Scarlet to have the wrench, because that would put a lot of pressure on what Colonel Mustard could do. But alas. It's our turn. We're going to roll. Ugh. I'm going to block the library. Sucks. And we're going to find out Colonel Mustard had the candlestick. As no one else does. Means Colonel Mustard didn't have the wrench. It means that the candlestick is in the dining room. So eliminates the wrench from the and the candlestick from the room. All right. So now we're going to see it's Colonel Mustard's turn. We're going to have to hope it makes it back to us. Because it's the reality of somebody getting close when it's far from our turn, as there's a possibility of an accusation before it comes to us. Nobody is interrogating the scenario. I'm going to. Mustard. Candlestick. The dishes were set in tidy rows across the dining room table. Colonel Mustard carefully cleaned his monocle. He found the candlestick. Ah, but he's eliminated, so candlestick's off, mustard's off, and dining room's off. So now we are down to 4 rooms: billiard room, hall, lounge, and study. Scarlet was not in the library. So that leaves us with either Plum or Green as the only people left in the library. The wrench can be there, giving Green an option. The rope can be there, giving Plum an option. I would love for it to be Plum with the rope in the library, because that means we can eliminate more things. Here's another option for something that could be positive. And it is. So now we have a second full scenario. White had the knife because the knife was in the line. So Scarlet's left with only being able to have the revolver. Plum's left with only being able to have the rope. Peacock and Green a little more open. So it looks like Green is going to make an interrogation here. We may be in trouble because we have no cards to limit this possibility. White, knife allowed. Ah, perfect. So we have a possibility here. Still winning because that is now eliminated also. So now we are down to we'll be able to next couple of options. So I'm clearing out some clues here. Sure. So we're going to guess ourselves the rope in the library. We would like this to be true. This would eliminate some of our possibilities there. So let's see what we. So now we have Scarlet was not in the billiard room. The wrench. Okay. Now it's off to Peacock. Peacock. Wrench billiard room. Green was not in the billiard. So that leaves Peacock as the only possible murderer left. I'm gonna head for the study in the hall to try to get some other interesting things going. Professor Plum was. That means I am. Which isn't ideal for us. We kind of wanted to get to the study or hall here and get away from the library. Okay. Mrs. Peacock did not have the revolver, so that leaves Peacock with only being able to use the wrench. The wrench was not in the billiard room. So Peacock can't be the killer. Oh, so that eliminates billiard room. So we were right to head up towards the study in the hall, as they are now the only two possibilities left. Okay, we're in the library. Is there a guess here that we can make that's useful? Yes. So we're going to say green with the revolver. Green did not have the revolver, so that means green, if he's the killer, must have used the wrench. Peacock, if she's the killer, must have used the wrench. We are possibilities as the killer with the rope, and then Scarlet could have used the revolver. So those are the only four scenarios left in terms of murder and weapon combination. And it must be in either the hall or the study. Scarlet was not in the hall. see here now. Mr. Green's turn. He's going to make a suggestion in the library. Say green with pipe. This is possible. We have the lead pipe card, but if green had the lead pipe, that would do some help for us. The lead pipe was not in the library. How much of the lead pipe do we have eliminated? And the answer is not much. It could still be in the billiard room, it could still be in the hall. It could still be in the kitchen or the study. So there's some helpful places for it to be and some unhelpful places for it to be. Pipe. We would like to find out Mrs. Peacock's here. That would be fun. She's not. It's almost like it listens to me sometimes. I say things about like, hey, it'd be great if this wasn't true, and then immediately proceeds to tell me it is true, or vice versa. Okay, so now it's our turn again. Boy. It's a lot of tight positioning here because we don't have as much top information as I would like to have. So we've got Peacock, Revolver, Hall now as a guess. Revolver was not in the hall. Scarlet was not in the study. Okay, well, no, wait. So Scarlet is only available as being in the ballroom, the conservatory, or the kitchen now. So Miss Scarlet is eliminated. And the revolver is eliminated. Because Miss Scarlet's the only one left that can have it. So now it is down to, now we need to find out who, I am going to ask about about Mr. Green with the pipe. Because if Green has the pipe, then that limits us to Peacock with the wrench and Plum with the rope. And it gets us there kind of a backwards way. They may be doing our work for us here. We would like this to be a positive. Well, that does leave us with now knowing how do we want to proceed with this. So our options left are Plum, rope, Hall, Peacock, wrench, study, Green, wrench, study. That's all that's left. I don't know if we want to make a guess here, though. I'm going to make an interrogation. And I'm going to say that it was us with the rope in the hall. 7 people walked into the hall that day, but how many would be able to walk out? Professor Plum pretended to study his notes. Quickly coiled the rope. Ha! There it is. Got the correct answer. So it was Professor Plum. It was the rope. It was the hall. So now we can make an accusation and win the game. With the rope in the hall. I mean, no wonder we knew who did it, right? It's embarrassing it took us so long to get there. All right, we're going to go ahead and now that that game is complete, we're going to take a break. I'm going to come back with a game of Clue for Steam. Give us about 5 minutes. We'll probably be back at about 9 o'clock for that to resume.